What is up, guys? Zan from the Zan Madden YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the fatigue glitch in Madden 24. So the first title update of 2024 saw EA took a big swing at the dollar defense. And what they were trying to accomplish was implement new rules that would kind of deter players from running a base defense in which they put safeties at linebacker and tried to blitz them through the A gap. So you see that? Look at that. Hutchinson back orange, my safety on the left dead, or put these slot corners on constant blitz angles out of the slot to try to get pressure off the edge. Long have we been saying in Madden that it's kind of BS that Deion Sanders, when coming off the edge, if he's blocked by Trent Williams, will shed him in 1 second pretty consistently in this game. And
well, hello there, Mr. Deion Sanders.
The title update attempted to make a fix. In fact, we'll take a look at what the notes say right here, and you'll see that there is tuning to fatigue logic so that defenders who are not dedicated pass rushers will suffer a more severe fatigue penalty when engaging with a pass blocker that is significantly bigger than them. At face value, we all said hallelujah. But you'll note right here, it says that there is a focus on mismatches in which the defender is outweighed by 90 pounds or more, or if that player that is rushing as a secondary rusher has poor pass rush ratings, meaning their power move or finesse move are below 70. At face value, again, great. But what ended up happening was arguably the worst patch in Madden history.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Just want to say, if you're enjoying today's video, make sure you guys give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and maybe even take time to drop a comment below. It helps my channel more than you know, and it helps this video reach other Madden players like you that are struggling with the fatigue glitch or maybe other things Madden related. If you guys want more, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg, where for $9.95 a month, you get the best database of updated tips focused on the meta or the most effective tactics available. In the Gridiron Vault, we are constantly focusing on what the pros do and how you guys can beat it when you face it online. We have a lot of different game plans you guys get at no additional cost, and we have the best Discord tips community rolling out there. You guys get that at no additional cost. Check it out. $9.95 a month gets you everything on the website. Now back to the video. Now stop me if you've ever heard that before, but no, I'm not kidding. This is right up there with the roll forward every tackle animation is the same bug that we saw a couple years back. And it just leaves you wondering how an entire studio could spend not even 5 minutes on this title update patch and not see that this was an issue right away. You just wonder sometimes.
Are you surprised?
So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what this is and how to avoid it. So that way, at least when you guys are dealing with it in the short term, you guys never have to worry about what's going on. So we're going to head over to our friends over at mutt.gg. So what players are doing is they're going in and they are sorting their tackles, and they are kind of taking the heaviest tackles available. And the heaviest tackles in the game are going to be Trent Brown, who weighs like 380 pounds, and DeJuan Jones, who weighs 374 pounds. Now, this also does apply to the interior players on the offensive line, although when you think about how defenses are built, defensive tackles are typically sturdier players. But what occurs on the edge is oftentimes you're getting a 245-pound edge rusher, maybe somebody like a Micah Parsons, or a 250-pound edge rusher, all the way up to even like 260, 265. You will note that if you were to kind of rush those types of players against a 380-pound offensive tackle, that 380-pound offensive tackle weighs more than 90 pounds, greater than the player he is blocking. And this is resulting in a crazy fatigue penalty that is resulting in the defensive lineman being not only tired, but they get bugged out for the rest of the game. A lot of times you'll see your player go into the dark orange or the blue, and they will never recover. You could take them off the field, put them back on the field 10 plays later, they will still be the same color of orange when you put them back on the field. And this is even worse when you factor in that players are abusing this system and putting tight end items that are out of position defensive linemen, such as Vita Vea or the out of position Donald Penn from the Zero Chill promo. And they're putting them out wide on RPOs to block your corners and fatigue them out of the game. So if you guys have your KO players out there, you know, those deep out KO items, all of a sudden they're jogging a lot slower because they're gassed right away from this. So while I'm not gonna, go into a game and run this glitch on anybody to show it to you in MUT, I do want to try to give you guys an idea of the way that you guys should be attacking this moving forward. So big boys are going to be the short-term answer with this. What I would recommend is knowing that you have basically a 380-pound cap on the offensive tackles that you're going to face, you guys need to immediately go out and target some of the heaviest defensive ends available. So again, go into your database of choice and basically go and sort your players by weight. What you're going to immediately notice is that players like JJ Watt, who weigh 288 pounds, they can be fatigued still by somebody like Trent Brown, because the difference between JJ Watt and Trent Brown is 92 pounds. So you talk about a 3.3 million coin card can be fatigued by a core elite 80 overall offensive tackle that weighs 380 pounds. Although JJ Watt will be pretty safe against other players such as DeJuan Jones, who weighs 374 pounds. You'll note that 288 and 374, the delta on that, or the difference in that, is 86 pounds. So he's underneath that 90 threshold. So if you notice that your opponent has Trent Brown, keep your JJ Watt item, if you have them, away from that player. So you have to be careful with this in the short term. This also really significantly devalues the other premier defensive end in the game, which is Nick Bosa at 266 pounds, because 266 plus 90 is 356. And there are a ton of offensive linemen in this game that weigh at least 356 pounds. They might not be high overall items with great ratings, but they are heavy enough to force this fatigue issue and kick nearly 5 million coins of defensive linemen out of the game right away. Trust me, I've got these items on my team. I have experienced somebody that runs Trent Brown and DeJuan Jones and fatigues these guys out of the game right away. And it results in us having to go look at some of the heavier defensive linemen in the game. So what you guys are going to want to do is go in and basically set your filters to 380 minus 90, which means that you're looking for a 291 pound minimum for your defensive lineman in the event that you are facing the Trent Brown, DeJuan Jones. So what we are going to do is sort our MUT.gg or our MUThead database for defensive linemen. It could be defensive tackles, it could be defensive ends, by weight. So I'm going to set mine actually to 291, because that's going to give us the best list of players that you guys can find. Now, there are quite a few great items in the game that can avoid these guys in the short term. Christian Barmore's new item, quite heavy. Now, you also factor in that even if you look at that Barmore, you say, hey, Zan, he's nowhere as good a pass rusher as Micah Parsons. That does not matter right now when you think about it. Micah Parsons is worthless in the short term until this is emergency patched. What you will notice, though, is that when you get a Christian Barmore going up against 88 overall Trent Brown item, he is going to be within the weight threshold, and his ratings will actually be so good that he will kick the snot out of Trent Brown for you. So this is a great item to have. You guys can look at other items in the game, Jalen Carter, Eric Armstead. That David Bakhtiari card is incredibly good against players that try this theory. You guys can run the Julius Peppers item. That's a defensive lineman from the Team Diamonds promo. I know a lot of you like that Julius Peppers item. That's a corner item, and don't worry, we're going to get to that in a second. Mario Williams is great. Basically, you guys have a lot of different items available to you. Now, one thing I will tell you is that you want to probably target defensive ends that are going to be a little bit heavier. And the reason that I say that is that certain formations in the game will only allow you to put defensive ends or linebackers at the defensive end position in them. For instance, the big nickel over G doesn't allow me to put a D tackle at defensive end. So you guys will really want to target the defensive end position, because they could participate as edge rushers in your rotation or be kicked inside to the defensive tackle role if you guys want. And you guys can still get pretty elite production out of your pass rush there. So that is kind of the gist here for the fatigue glitch, if you will. You want to make sure that you're targeting 291 pounds. 290 is going to get you basically good enough to beat everyone except for Trent Brown. 291 is what you need to beat Trent Brown. So that's kind of where that cutoff is for me. If you're not worried about Trent Brown, take your weight threshold for your pass rushers down to 285, and that'll give you more options to be able to beat DeJuan Jones. But again, Trent Brown's kind of the guy you got to worry about in this particular meta. Now, one thing I do want to say to end this video is that when you guys take a look at your items for the secondary, what I want you guys to do is kind of be aware that there are a fair amount of players out there in the community that are running Donald Penn, that are running Vita Vea tight end items out wide to try to fatigue you. It's going to be rather difficult to kind of deal with those guys. With Vita Vea's tight end item weighing 247 pounds, you guys will basically have to look for coverage items that weigh 258 pounds, if you will. There's just not that many available. The one saving grace is going to be that Julius Peppers safety item because it does weigh 295 pounds. So if you are out there getting RPO'd to death by players that like to put the big boys out wide on RPOs and fatigue your corners, Julius Peppers is the guy to be able to absorb those blocks and not fatigue out. So I personally have been running Julius Peppers at corner anyways. A lot of you guys are going to want to start to do this, especially if you've been running Peppers in the box at linebacker. You can find heavier linebackers that can eat up blocks from guards and centers and even tackles. It's harder to find secondary items that can do this against the RPO. So that is today's video, guys. More so PSA, just kind of taking a look at weights and things that you guys need to be talking about or focused on when you're facing these players that are trying to kind of scum you out. Again, EA has acknowledged that this is something that they are taking a look at. I think there's going to be an emergency patch for it. Honestly, pay attention to your weight, get your players on rotation. You definitely want to have as many heavy defensive ends as possible in the short term. Don't worry the Micah Parsons, don't worry the Lawrence Taylors, the Willie Andersons, the Terrell Suggs, all those items that we all want to run, the Bosas, the JJ Watts, they will be back soon. But for now, it's time to put the thick guys on your roster and try to just kind of tread water until this can be emergency patched. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.